Hello and welcome to the Responsive Family Sleep Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Hawley, holistic sleep coach, lactation consultant, peaceful parenting educator, and mom. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by all the conflicting sleep info, frustrated with sleep information that just plain felt wrong, or searched desperately for a truly gentle and responsive sleep approach, then you are in the right place. In each episode, we'll be answering your most pressing baby and toddler sleep questions, busting those sleep myths, and helping you understand truly developmental, biologically normal baby and toddler sleep, plus encouraging you to trust your intuition along the way. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking about terrible, horrible, no good, very bad nap days. Right? We have all been there, or I think most of us have been there. I know I have with my own kiddos, right? Day starts out okay, and then it just spirals, right? They fight the first nap, or they wake up really soon. You're trying to run errands. You thought they'd sleep in the stroller. They don't sleep in the stroller. They barely get any sleep, and we're headed into the next nap, and they're wired, and they won't settle, and it's getting later and later, and you're feeling that pressure, right? Of tonight's going to be awful. I need to move on. Is it getting too late to try? What should I do? And it feels terrible, right? You put a couple of days like that back to back, or, over the course of a week, and you're probably spiraling. Like, what's wrong with my nap routine? This is terrible. What am I doing wrong, right? Understandable. So let's talk about those days, right? So the first thing I want to acknowledge is that bad days happen even when our nap routine is working. Sometimes it's because we are running errands or busy, or a family visiting, or things going on that just knock us off routine. And sometimes it's just our baby is feeling off. I mean, we all have days that we feel off as adults. Babies have them too. So even if everything is fine, they don't feel the same exact day today, just like we don't feel the same exact day today. So I want to normalize that. It's not always that we did something wrong, or it might just be that there is natural disruption, right? We can't avoid that. The next thing is, please don't try for a nap forever. I'm sure I've talked about this on the podcast before, but if a nap is not happening, or they're not clearly settling down for sleep after about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes max, your kiddo, take a break, go play, try again. Do not try for a nap for a prolonged period of time. It frustrates everybody. You get frustrated, they get frustrated, and then we're spending our whole day trying to nap. So if at 15 minutes they're like almost asleep, of course, keep soothing them the rest of the way down. But if they're still like, Mom, it's party time. Hey, Dad, what do you want to do? Hey, grandparent, it's playtime, right? Then, okay, they're not settling down. So either they're not tired or they're too keyed up for some reason. Move it on. Do something else. Look for that energy dip. Maybe try again a half hour later, or if you see that they're slowing down, right? So that they have a chance to blow off some of that energy, or build more sleep pressure, build more tiredness. It can also be helpful to recognize, okay, what is the latest I can get this kiddo down, even for a short nap, and maybe push bedtime a little bit later. So maybe they're usually up by 4, and it's 3:30, and you're like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Is it worth it? But you can push bedtime a little bit later, right? You can go play and maybe do a little short nap from 4 to 4:30 and push bedtime later, right? Obviously, these times might not apply, but you see what I'm doing here, right? We can play around a little bit just to salvage, so we don't have a kiddo that is hardly napped and up, forever and ever and ever. Sometimes we can pull bedtime earlier, right? Depending on when your bedtime is. That may or may not be the best thing for overnight, but sometimes that's the best solution given the messiness of that day. So sometimes it's a short later nap and a little bit of a later bedtime. Sometimes it's, this isn't really happening. Let's just pull bedtime earlier. And there isn't, unfortunately, a magical formula for that, right? Because there is a part of how our bodies regulate the circadian rhythm that in that 1 to 2 hours before we normally fall asleep even with high sleep pressure, that the body's like, hey, we have to push to our normal bedtime. It's called the awake maintenance zone. And so even though they're really tired, sometimes the circadian rhythm signaling is just telling them to stay awake. And of course, sometimes they have such high sleep pressure that they just pass out super early, right? So, bodies don't always make sense. And sometimes one mechanism of regulating sleep is stronger than the other. But so those are some logistical things, right? We don't try for a nap for too long. We move on, we play, we keep our day moving, we try again. We can have a short, late nap. That's sometimes better than no nap. I rarely feel like the early bedtime is the better choice, but sometimes it is. But there's another piece, and the other piece is that pressure and anxiety maybe of this, like, how am I supposed to do this? This is going to be terrible, and what did I do wrong, and why is this day such a disaster? And we can really be our worst critics, right? And some of that is legit, probably your night is not going to be a good night if we had a really terrible nap day. Like, that is not always true. Sometimes they sleep great because they're really tired. But, it's probably not going to be your best bedtime. It's probably not going to be your best night. And that's okay. I mean, it doesn't feel okay in the moment, but like, you will survive. And so I think sometimes it is really helpful to figure out, what do you tell yourself to kind of help stop that spiral? Because that spiral is exhausting. Like, it's exhausting. It's tiring on top of all the parenting you're doing, and on top of maybe being in for a difficult bedtime at night. It's exhausting. So sometimes it's like reframing the situation. I'm sure I've said it on the podcast before, but my favorite parenting reframe or affirmation is, they're not giving me a hard time. They're having a hard time. And I don't remember which parenting coach I originally got it from. So I'm sorry to whomever it is that I can't credit you with it, but this has been one of my biggest mantras, parenting affirmations, for years now, personally, with my own kids. Like, right through the pandemic, right through the really hard early year. Like, I don't know. I picked it up some point with my oldest, and it is really a helpful one because we feel like they're doing things to us a lot when it's hard, or that we are solely responsible, instead of shifting and being like, they're having a really hard time. That's why they're not able to downregulate. Or they're really excited and overstimulated. That's why they can't downregulate into that nap. Sometimes that shift can help. And so, maybe it's my presence matters, like I'm their safe place, like whatever helps you sort of reframe to have more empathy and compassion for your kiddo, but also for yourself, right? So that can be a big piece. For some people, it's also like, what can you do if you're finding yourself get dysregulated, right? More from a sensory regulation perspective. Is it deep breaths, right? Our breath really does control our nervous system. So if we can control the breath, we can help ourselves regulate. Is it giving yourself something to listen to? That's a little more outside of the box, but I mean, it's helped many a client of mine and myself when you're just like, this is just a mess. How do I keep myself here, but give myself something else to focus on? Earbud in, put on a podcast, an audiobook, some music, something that might help you regulate. Thinking through, like, okay, what actually needs to get done this evening? Maybe it's like, okay, we have to have dinner. I need to prep a few things. Can I put baby in a carrier? Can I get up and prep some of that now while I know that they're still happily playing, so that maybe I can pause and offer a nap again? Like I said, when is that last point I should offer the nap before just pivoting and saying nap's off the table, we're done with that for now, moving on to, an earlier bedtime and just getting our stuff done. So there's the logistical pieces, and then there's those regulation sort of mindset pieces. In the middle of a messy nap day is probably not the time to deconstruct why it was messy. Do that later, right? So I'll do this with clients sometimes when they email me in the middle of a chaos mess. And if I get that close enough, we might talk through, okay, how do we triage this quickly? And then let's follow up the next day and look back, right? You didn't get your afternoon nap because your kiddo fell asleep on the way home from running errands and that reset their sleep pressure, right? This was understandable, not random. And then let's look like what's been happening lately. Have we had more understandable disruptions rather than them feeling so random? And then we can start to say, okay, what of this can we control? And when do we know that we maybe can't control it? So we should just expect and shape our day a bit differently. So that can be helpful as well as that reflection piece, but that's usually best done away, right? So we can look back with a little bit of distance, even if it's just a not so great night's sleep. Bring some reflection, right? Is there a takeaway? Sometimes the answer will be no, and that's okay too. But sometimes often the answer will be, yes, there were some contributing factors that I can identify, and maybe that gives me something to do a bit differently next time. So if you've had some of these just spiraling nap days lately, know you are not alone. It happens to most of us. You can get through it. You can reflect on it. And if it's happening a lot, reach out and get some help, right? Like I'm here. I would love to support you in troubleshooting some of that if it's feeling really hard. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode left you feeling more informed, confident, and encouraged on your sleep journey. And just a reminder before you go that nothing in this episode is individualized to your specific sleep situation, nor is it to be taken as medical advice. Take what resonates, ignore what doesn't, and check with your healthcare provider about any medical concerns. Take a moment to subscribe to this podcast so that you'll never miss an episode. And take a moment to rate, review, or share an episode you love on social media. All of that helps parents just like you find me, this podcast, and this gentle and responsive sleep information. I'll see you next time.